Hey guys, in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you tips and tricks to fade dark underarms. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Andrea. I'm a board certified dermatologist. I would love it if you would subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the thumbs up. It really helps my channel out a lot. Make sure you stay through the end of the video because throughout the video, I'm going to be sharing with you some of the best products to fade dark underarms. Dark underarms is something a lot of people really struggle with, especially those with medium to deep skin tones. The skin under the armpits is really delicate. It's very thin, similar to the skin around your eyelids, and more prone to irritation. Anything that causes irritation in the skin is going to put the skin at risk for healing with dark discoloration, hyperpigmentation. And in the armpit, you have skin-on-skin contact with a lot of friction plus sweat. And sweat is irritating on the skin, plus those frictional forces are very irritating. And because you have skin-on-skin contact, things that are applied to the skin of the armpit, they penetrate to a greater depth than things that you might apply to your back, for example. So you have a combination of factors: thin skin, friction, sweat, moisture, and occlusion. How long till you see results? You guys, you have got to be patient. You're not gonna see results overnight. You're not gonna see results in a month. You're not gonna see results in 2 months, 3 months. It's probably going to take up to a year to see results, truthfully. And the longer you've had the hyperpigmentation, the longer it's gonna take to correct. So you have to be patient and you have to be diligent to stay on top of these things. The tips I'm gonna be giving you in this video, a lot of them focus on things that you have to do to reduce irritation on the skin that would ultimately cause more hyperpigmentation. Doing so habitually, long-term, will allow the hyperpigmentation that you have to fade. Number one, if you have an active rash in your armpit, you need to see a dermatologist or your healthcare provider to have that treated. So long as there is an active rash in the armpit, you will never, ever, ever get rid of the hyperpigmentation. No cream, lotion, potion, ingredient will work if you have an active ongoing rash. There are a lot of reasons to have rashes in the armpits: eczema, contact dermatitis, allergy to something that you're coming in contact with there, different fungal infections. So if you have a rash in the armpit that's like red, itchy, dry, flaky, you need to see your healthcare provider, figure out what it is, get it treated, and once it's treated and controlled, then you can begin to address the hyperpigmentation. You want to get that treated quickly too, because the longer it persists, the more inflammation there's going to be in the skin that's going to drive more hyperpigmentation. So that is the most pressing thing when it comes to the armpit discoloration. If you have an active rash, get it treated. Number two is exfoliating. When we talk about improving the look of hyperpigmentation, there's always a discussion around exfoliating. The reason is that when you exfoliate the skin, it lifts up some of the dead superficial cells and starts to lift up some of that hyperpigmentation in the top layers of the skin. But you have to be very, very, very careful in the delicate areas of the armpit because the skin there is more prone to irritation from exfoliating. Do not seek out scrubs. Scrubbing the skin does not do anything for your hyperpigmentation. It just, that pressure is non-specific and it just drives more inflammation in the skin, and your skin can actually react to it by thickening, which is going to make the discoloration even worse. So avoid scrubbing, avoid using like any kind of exfoliant that is in a scrub form. Not good for the delicate skin of the armpits. You wouldn't use that around your eyes. You don't want to use it in your armpit. What about chemical exfoliants? Chemical exfoliants you also have to be careful of. These include alpha hydroxy acids like glycolic, lactic, mandelic, and also include salicylic acid. The reason you have to be careful is that these guys, they're irritating on non-armpit skin. Put them in the armpit and leave them on there. Go about your day sweating, rubbing the arms back and forth, creating that friction can drive a lot of irritation into the skin. So be very cautious with chemical exfoliants in leave-on forms. An alternative that I would suggest to you is to incorporate an exfoliating salicylic acid-based body wash or just an acne wash. I have the Neutrogena oil-free acne wash here. This is a salicylic acid face wash, but you can use it in your armpits. They also make a body wash version of basically the same thing, and there are numerous other ones out there. This is a much gentler way to go about exfoliating. Just lather a little bit to the armpits while you're in the shower. You can even use a washcloth and just in a very gentle circular fashion. Again, not harsh scrubbing or a lot of pressure, just a gentle circular fashion. Leave that lather in the armpits for a few minutes and then rinse it off. That is a much more conservative and safer way to go about using a chemical exfoliant in the armpits, as opposed to like a peel that you do yourself or a leave-on exfoliating product, and definitely better than a scrub. So be very gentle, but that can help. Number 3, you have got to be smarter about the hair removal strategy you are using in your armpit. If you're shaving, you want to make sure that you are using a lubricating shave cream or gel, but you have to be careful. A lot of shave creams and shave gels, they have ingredients that might be causing a lot of irritation. Maybe they're drying or they have a lot of fragrance that's irritating in the armpits. So I always recommend the Aveeno Therapeutic Shave Gel. Everyman Jack, I think the brand is, also has a fragrance-free shave cream. You could really just use conditioner in the armpits, like hair conditioner. And really the purpose of this is to lubricate and hydrate the skin to reduce irritation from shaving that would further worsen your hyperpigmentation. Put it on to the armpit in the shower while it's damp. Let it sit on there for a few seconds to really hydrate up the skin, and then go ahead and shave. Make sure your razor is sharp. Don't be using a dull, cruddy razor. That can cause ingrowns, nicks, and further inflammation and irritation. Make sure that your razor is, sharp. Don't keep it in the shower. That dulls the blades. And make sure you change it out frequently. That is really important for any kind of shaving anywhere on the body, but especially on the delicate armpit skin. You might even consider completely stopping shaving for a while. Especially if it's winter time, you're not wearing tank tops or anything. You may consider just letting it grow out for a while and letting the skin kind of calm down from shaving. And then of course, another alternative is to see a board certified dermatologist for laser hair removal. That way you don't, have to deal with it as much. It thins out the hair, basically, turns it into fine hair, makes it so that you don't have to shave as much. And it can be a very effective strategy. You could also try waxing, but obviously that can and is often very irritating. Take a break from shaving, if anything. The other thing about shaving too is that razor blades have nickel in them, and a lot of people are actually allergic to nickel. It's pretty common to be allergic to nickel, and you might actually be allergic to the razor blade, and that could be what's contributing to the hyperpigmentation in your armpit. Okay, next, you have got to really think critically about what it is you're putting in your armpit as far as antiperspirants and deodorants. These are a major culprit when it comes to worsening and causing armpit hyperpigmentation. Many antiperspirants, they have fragrance in them, which is really irritating on the thin skin of the underarms. Also, antiperspirants, they have aluminum salts in them, which are not the devil. That's how they work, actually. The aluminum salts, they plug up the sweat gland and reduce the burden of sweat. But for some people, they find the aluminum salts are very irritating. Unfortunately, with the advent of natural deodorants, we have seen a boom in the incidence of hyperpigmentation under the arms. So I strongly caution you against pursuing natural deodorants. I have a video explaining why they are, problematic. But to remind you, natural deodorants, they typically have a lot of fragrance, and they can have actually sodium bicarbonate in them, which can cause hyperpigmentation without even causing a rash. So definitely don't chase after the natural deodorants. My recommendation would be to switch over to a fragrance-free antiperspirant for a while. I always recommend the Vanity Cream one to people dealing with hyperpigmentation in the arms especially. It's free of other common allergens as well. But if it's the aluminum piece of it that is causing you problems, but one way to reduce body odor from sweating under the armpits that does not require antiperspirant or deodorants or any fragrance is to try using a hypochlorous acid spray. I've talked about this in several videos before, but hypochlorous is naturally produced in our body, and it reduces the bacteria on the skin that break down sweat and contribute to body odor. And you can spray this on your armpit throughout the day. It's safe to leave it on the skin, it's not irritating, and it's also anti-inflammatory, which is ultimately gonna help out your cause as far as improving the hyperpigmentation. You can spray it there as often as you want. While this helps body odor issues, it's not going to reduce the amount of sweat that you produce. But I think that it's actually helpful when you do have notice that you're sweating in the armpits, to spray this and allow it to evaporate. It kind of dries up the sweat temporarily, and then of course it's gonna reduce the bacteria that cause body odor. So definitely try this out as an alternative or adjuvant to deodorants, antiperspirants, for those of you dealing with hyperpigmentation. It's also great, you can spray it anywhere. You can spray it on the face, it's safe enough to use around the eyes. It's a very good ingredient for just kind of body cleansing. I mentioned all of this stuff takes time. Another thing that you can pursue is professional treatments. Professional treatments will require several treatments to affect change, but it might get you to a change faster. What kind of professional treatments? In office, there are chemical peels that can be applied that are effective for improving the look of hyperpigmentation. I've got videos talking about the different types of chemical peels if that's something that interests you. There are also in-office lasers that can target hyperpigmentation. It's really important though to see a board certified dermatologist for this, because many of you guys coping with this, you've got medium to deep skin tones, and if the wrong laser or wrong laser settings are used by somebody who doesn't really have experience treating your skin type, it can actually worsen the hyperpigmentation. The other treatment that we can do in office is microneedling. That too can help in improving the look of hyperpigmentation. I caution you against attempting to do microneedling yourself. It can worsen the hyperpigmentation. There are definite risks with at-home microneedling of not only hyperpigmentation, but scarring and infection that ultimately would also worsen the hyperpigmentation. So don't DIY it. Likewise, don't DIY a chemical peel in your armpits. That too can worsen the hyperpigmentation substantially, and you're not going to be able to do it using the concentrations of ingredients that we're able to use in office. So definitely see a board certified derm. Another reason to see a board certified dermatologist for improving the hyperpigmentation under your arms is that there are medications that we can prescribe that are effective for skin lightening, like hydroquinone in a more soothing gel vehicle at an effective strength. And we can follow your response to it, make sure you're not getting too much irritation from it that would otherwise worsen the hyperpigmentation. Seeing a board certified dermatologist, you can then pursue a combination of things, prescription topicals as well as procedures. And again, it'll require multiple visits, but ultimately I think it can give you some very, very nice results, perhaps a little bit more quickly than carrying out everything that I'm talking about in today's video beyond the professional treatments. Okay, but what ingredients can you use? What ingredients can you buy over the counter that will help this out? You have to be really careful. A lot of skin brightening ingredients, skin lightening ingredients marketed for hyperpigmentation, they actually can be too irritating on the delicate skin of the armpits. You don't want to use retinol. And again, like I said earlier, alpha hydroxy acids, beta hydroxy acids, over-the-counter hydroquinone, all of these can be really irritating in the armpit. And so you have to be cautious. Ingredients to look out for though that are gentle for the armpit and safe to use that will help with skin brightening include soy, niacinamide, and licorice root. Now, a product that I really like, I mean, I'll list some down below that have these ingredients I just mentioned, but one product with licorice root that's really good actually is Eucerin Baby. Eucerin Baby's Eczema Relief Cream. Licorice root, as a side note, is Glycyrrhiza inflata root extract. This product also has colloidal oats, which act as a skin protectant. That's really helpful in the armpit to reduce irritation. And this is also free of fragrance. It has ceramides, which help with the moisture barrier and barrier function, ultimately gonna help you in the health of your armpit skin in terms of keeping irritating stuff out. This is a really good option for that area. I'll list some others down below. So you could seek out those ingredients. You know, for example, I mentioned niacinamide, that's in the La Roche-Posay Lipicare eczema cream, and you know, there are many other niacinamide moisturizers that can effectively help in brightening up the hyperpigmentation. So those are good ingredients to look out for in products that can help the hyperpigmentation and are not irritating. If anything, they help the moisture barrier and barrier function long term, as well as helping out with the hyperpigmentation. And they're anti-inflammatory too, which is always going to bode well for issues surrounding hyperpigmentation. Last but not least, the tip that I think can really help, especially if you're very active, like you run and you're sweating a lot, and you have a lot of friction, is to employ a barrier cream in your armpits. You could use a zinc oxide diaper rash cream for this purpose, but a product that, you know, is not a zinc oxide diaper rash cream, but it's basically the same consistency, is the Eucerin Original Healing Cream. They call this a cream, but it's really like a thick paste. This is great in the armpits for lubricating the skin, reducing those frictional forces. I mean, look how thick that is. You could like caulk your bathtub with that. When applied to the skin, this creates a nice barrier against moisture and irritants that would otherwise get into your skin and affect more irritation, evoke more inflammation, and worsen the hyperpigmentation. Fortunately, the skin in our armpits is pretty protected from sun exposure, so you don't necessarily need to be lathering it with sunscreen. But as a side note, a zinc oxide based sunscreen is a nice barrier cream as well. So you might just want to use that. You know, unless you're laying on your back out in the sun with your armpits out, you probably don't need to focus so much on the sun protection in that area. And, you know, plus with clothing and everything, most people aren't sunning their armpits. Although, I don't know, over the past few years, there have been some interesting body parts that people have been motivated to sun, if you know what I mean. So yeah, the armpit sunning, I don't know, wouldn't be surprised if that popped up on some wellness site. Those are my tips, you guys. I know it's frustrating. Remember, patience is key. Patience and consistency. You have to stick with these things and always, always, always be diligent with the shaving practices, what the heck you're putting in your armpits as far as irritating ingredients. One other thing I'll point out too, I'm talking about hyperpigmentation in this video, but another condition that looks like hyperpigmentation, but it has nothing to do with pigment, is something called Acanthosis nigricans. That's this thick, velvety, dark discoloration in the armpits. It's a skin manifestation of insulin resistance. If you have that going on, the things that I'm recommending in this video are not going to help your cause. You need to see your healthcare provider for that and make sure that your blood sugar and whatnot have been addressed. And check out my video on Acanthosis nigricans because I go into more detail about what to expect as far as improvement with that condition. And so I'll link that down below for you guys, as well as all these products. I hope this video was helpful to you guys. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and as always, don't forget, sunscreen and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.